Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back, my friends. I've decided to pay my own personal tribute to these incredibly powerful players of the 20th century, and uh, amongst my favorites, Boris Spassky and Bobby Fischer. The World Chess Championship that took place in Reykjavik, Iceland, in 1972. I am aiming to commenting every single game that they played until to the very end and presenting these ideas to you, my friends, so we can both all of us enjoy the ideas, learn from them, and hopefully increasing the quality of our own games by studying the Chess Masters games, because that's the whole idea. We should be analyzing as often as possible the Chess Masters game, the Super GM, and we will learn from every single game we're looking at. So let's proceed now. This was a Queen's Gambit decline that transposed into a Nimzo Indian defense. In the first game, Boris Spassky is white, Bobby Fischer plays with the black pieces. And there we go now, d4, the queen's pawn. So now we're going to play a bunch of theoretical moves aiming to developing pieces first thing, d4, knight f6, c4 now, e6, opening the bishop that wants to come and play, of course, knight to f3, d5, taking your portion of the space in the center here, opposing blocking this guy here. Of course, if they take, if white were to capture here, you could just simply take it back with your pawn or with the knight. So knight c3 developing now, bishop to b4, pinning it. We're getting into a Nimzo Indian, e3, castles the king, not a problem with this, bishop to d3. Had been played by Boris Spassky here. And black now can play all the moves that I've already highlighted on the board for us to see, guys. We can do either knight to bd7, IBA d7, we can take on c4, or challenging the most challenging move here, which is c5, announcing a tension in the middle already in between those pawns on the C and D files, respectively. Spassky here castles the king short, no more in a pin. There's no more pin on C3. The knight is free to play. Knight C6, getting your guys in action. A3, bishop to a5. Now I can choose to take either of the C or D pawn, but he didn't do that, but instead he played knight e2. Not a disaster, not a blunder. He probably wanted to surprise them a little bit. Maybe he wanted to develop the knight further on various squares. We're looking at these. Maybe they wanted to further reinforce the d4. All sorts of ideas here, but black took on c4. Bishop takes on c4. Bishop to b6 now, trying to put this bishop and activate them as soon as the pawns are disappearing, taking on c5, and now the d file is being opened. Queen takes and rook takes and bishop captures. So now we're getting slowly into a sort of drawish position, equal position here. Nothing particularly bad happened for white or for black. We're going to get to a critical moment of the game where Bobby Fischer miscalculated the move. We're going to get there in a jiffy. Bishop b2. You want to develop your pieces, by the way. It's important. And that looks like a very nice diagonal for that bishop. Plus, you have connected your rooks. Bishop to d7 now. He didn't want to waste no more time, so he played the bishop straight now onto d7. And now if you kind of considering a little tactic here, like bishop takes f6, removing the bishop's defender, and then they take back and you take. Actually, it's a little problem here. This tactic is not going to work because of the bishop f6. Although you remove the bishop's defender, the bishop on e7 takes, attacking your rook with tempo, we call it. So you're not going to get that bishop because you have to move your rook, and then they'll be further attacking you. So that doesn't really work, and you're not going to end up in a better position. So Spassky did not take. He played rook a to c. And of course, what's more natural than getting your own rook, which is a little bit idling on the f column, you're getting, or where you've got the issues actually, so you need to face your opponent's rooks on open files. Knight to d4, more trades coming now. More trades and trades and trades. Now, again, you've got 3, 4, 5 good moves here you might be playing. They're all absolutely very decent. a5, h6. It's a drawish position, by the way. There is no big weakness for neither white nor black here. A nice idea here by Bobby Fischer playing the bishop and attacking the rook. So he tried to potentially deflecting the rook from placing itself on the D file. So he just tried to, but that will result in more exchanging of the pieces because now Spassky blocks with the bishop, as you can see here very well. So bishop takes and knight takes. A very drawish game. Queen came off the board. It looks like if we keep trading off the pieces, we are going to draw. Any very well must be the case. But we're going to get there just in a minute. Now, he didn't want to particularly trade the rook here, so he went for the c, and you may wonder why is that. It's because, my chess friends, rook would like potentially to coming on c2. Now, it's not like you can't fight against it. There is always rook d2 for you, stopping the rook being on a second rank and stuff, so that shouldn't be a problem. But he tried to stay away from keep trading the pieces, creating some advantages, at least he tried. And king to e2, you want to activate your king towards the end of the game and centralize. Now, because the queens came off the board, why not? Plus, there is another interesting subtlety here. There is no light square bishop, so you mustn't be very afraid. There is no queen. There is no light square bishop. King on e2. Absolutely fine, and black should do similarly, trying to get their own king in action. But he threw in this little trap here, knight e4. And now you might say, yeah, well, what does that mean? I don't understand what's about. There is something here. Let's just say, if you just go with the random move, of course, Spassky is not going to do that. No super GM is going to do that ever. But in case you might be tempted to just do any of these pawns, just saying, what you are facing is actually something like rook c2 checking your king. And knight on e4 actually wants to stopping your rook from blocking the check. So that's the subtlety. Actually, rook c2 will be coming next. So obviously, Spassky understood this very well. How he played now rook c1, stopping any rook's intrusion on the c2, the second square. So there's nothing that might happen now. Further trading off the pieces. f6, probably to making space for the king to moving towards the center. Knight on e5, attacking b7. So very positional, sort of predictable. It's not huge tactics taking place at this stage now. You just need to play accurately in order to draw, because there is no big weakness for neither for white nor for black. As we've said, king goes on d3, but still instructive, because you're going to see what means at some point to lose focus and to miscalculate, because that is why black, Bobby Fischer, lost this game, because of that miscalculation. We're going to get that one too just in a minute. So knight to c4, what could be more drawish than that? Bishop to c7, trying to give itself a little bit of power on the h2 b8 diagonal. Knight takes, bishop takes now. And of course, white can play a couple of moves here, as we have highlighted already. You could go with these, and you could go with b5, which he did do in the game. The idea being, my chess friends, the idea being here, you probably notice Spassky tends to put the pawns on light squares because your opponent has a bishop on dark squares. And the theory goes, the principle goes of the ending, when you get into this kind of positions, aim to place your pawns on the color opposite of your bishops, so that they are not targetable by the bishop. Okay, so probably in virtue of this idea, Spassky played b5, and probably he wanted to do a4 and stuff like that. And again, black could have played at this stage, because this is the critical moment that I was telling you about, where Bobby Fischer miscalculated a tactic here. He could have played h, he could have played king to e7, e6, any of these moves, and probably others too. But he actually did something that cost him the game. He went with bishop to h2. So this is, I think, a very instructive moment, because now that bishop on h2 will be trapped. Yeah, they might be taking some pawn with them, but still the game will be lost, particularly because of this mistake he played right now. Move 29, black, bishop h2. Miscalculations happens even to the best. So what do you think it's the plan? You got to trap this guy in, march over with your king, remove the bishop, and you're going to end up with your bishop. Then you need to save just one pawn, and then that pawn will be promoting. That's exactly what is going to happen. But let's just see this step by step in action. g3, blocking the bishop retreating square. You can't move out. You're blocked in. So he tries to create a little bit of a threat on the g3, trying to put in pressure, but alas, too late now. King's coming closer. Moves on h4, but now king f3. Doesn't look very, very optimistic. You cannot save that bishop. King to g2, takes, captures, and as you could see, the bishop is doomed. We took the bishop. Now it's starting to be really advantageous for white at this stage now. He tried to, if you kind of manage to get rid of the other 3 pawns, probably you could draw here, because obviously king and bishop versus king can't be a victory, but that's already lost for white. Now, that's a nice little move here, bishop c5. If you may wonder from a tactical point of view, yeah, but maybe I can push this pawn, and if he goes here, I can push this pawn, and then I'm going to take the guy's bishop. It's not going to work. If b6, you will be in shock probably to finding out that actually the move that wins very quickly is bishop takes b6. You may wonder why? Well, because if the pawn takes, you're going to push a5, and you will be able to create a passer either on a or on b file. So white here would be totally winning if black made the mistake b6. But Fischer didn't do it. It's a shame he did take on h2 though, but he didn't do this one here. So he played with a6, the correct move to play here. b6, coming down with the other guys. Notice this guy is still defended though by the bishop. Coming down, captures and captures. Game is not quite over. The white king wants to practically go and collect that guy. King tries to stop them. Bishop taking the dark squares. Here, bishop defends itself. And if you wonder, yeah, but what if I attack the guy? Well, after bishop like e5, you're going to have a problem. Even if you push this guy, another pawn will be captured, so it's not going to work. For this reason, black played king to f5. Bishop now goes on h4, coming down with the other guy, which will be stopped, guys, will be stopped, because now bishop the dark square, white bishop now takes all those squares, and frankly, it's not too many things you could do at this stage. The white king now goes simply to capture the e4 black pawn, g5, gaining access now to hitting this pawn directly. You can't move in closer. There's just simply no good moves for black at this stage. Now, there's nothing Fischer could do to save the game, and the king tries to, but it's a bit too late now. King on f5. The other pawn will be fallen. Now, the key for white's victory is you mustn't lose this guy, which he won't. He won't. Because the white king goes very nicely now to attack the b7 pawn, this guy here. Okay, and also not just attacking. With the move like c7, you save your pawn, you attack the black pawn, and your bishop has all the time in the universe to stopping the a1 potential promotion of the a4 black pawn. So this move actually now pretty much says you have no chance to drawing now, because I'm gonna take the this guy, and it just really doesn't matter. Even if you try to play something like king a6, they're going to be playing bishop d4. You're going to have to waste the tempo at some point, and you'll be moving away from defending b7. It's just not going to work. Bishop d4. Actually, I forgot to tell you guys that actually Fischer resigned at this stage here, because there is no way for them to be winning. So after king to d6, he just resigned here. You can't stop loss of the b7, and a5 has no future, no chance to being promoted. So that was the Nimzo Indian Defense game number 1 of the World Chess Championship played in Reykjavik, Iceland, 1972, in between Bobby Fischer representing the United States and Boris Spassky playing for Russia, for the Russia at that time, at that point in time. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. We'll go with the game number 2, 3, and so forth and so forth. We're gonna look at them, and I hope you guys enjoy these games. And if that's the case, indeed, you may be subscribing to my channels. Whatever you may find them on the social media, maybe follow me also on the Twitch and YouTube, so we can actually get in touch when we are streaming live. Thank you for watching this game again. See you soon.